We continue at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. For those of you just turning on the West Coast, thanks for joining us so early. But you have got something well and truly worth turning on for, because we have a great race at the front of this field in the Rolex 24. Lee Diffie, Dorsey Schrader with you. Mike Johnson and Chris Neville down on a wet and greasy but drying pit road. Chris went out there looking like a moonwalker this morning, fearing he was going to get half drowned. But, well, thankfully, the sun is just now starting to punch through the cloud line here in Central Florida. Here are the important statistics for you. We're up over 500 laps already. There's been 12 cautions. And shortly we'll show you some overnight highlights for those of you just tuning in, because it was a very eventful night. And our respective leaders are one Pablo Montoya, who's just taken the wheel of the 01 Telmex Chip Ganassi Lexus Riley, and Paul Edwards in the Pontiac, the new Pontiac GXP-R. Wow, what an accomplishment that would be if they would win on debut. As we ride with Montoya, we will rejoin him shortly, because we need to take a look at some overnight highlights. And I tell you what, Scott Sharp, wrong place, wrong time. Tom Malloy in the 41 Team Salem Porsche slammed into the side of AJ Armendinger, which ricocheted him into Scott Sharp, and they lost so much time in the pits. The Jackson Hewitt Subway, Pontiac Crawford had its share of dramas as well. There was an incident with the 82 Porsche, and it caused major drama to the track, and it forced a red flag. Race director Mark Raffoff tells us more.
This particular incident was just in an awkward place, and it's just something that requires it to be done right. And to do it right, like I said, we have to block the track with some heavy equipment, and rather than have guys driving around, you know, off course or in odd places, it was much more practical just to stop, and we have a process for that that allows the crews here at the Speedway to fix the thing and fix it right.
Now, the driver involved was Chris Pallas in the 82 Porsche. He was seen and released from the infield care center, which is a great sign. One Pablo Montoya kept a watchful eye on the weather on the internet, because it was cause for concern. He wasn't too happy either, but he, like everyone else, had to deal with wet, slippery, slick and challenging conditions. Yes, the skies opened up, the rain came down, and it did not stop for hours. And literally just now we are seeing full sunlight bathing the Daytona International Speedway. Cautions flew all through the night. Changes, repairs had to be made, front end, rear end, to suspension, to brakes, to tyres, and wet weather tyres were the most. The enthusiasm shown by Jeff Gordon has been quite remarkable in this event. He wasn't running off to stay in his motorhome. He was watching every lap this car turned when he could, outside of needing sleep. The 59 Brumos Porsche, well, it has put in a stunning performance to keep the hopes alive down there in this famous Florida team. And the 85 Porsche for Farnbacher Lowles has been a standout performer in the GT class. So let's hope that brings you up to date with what went down overnight. Sadly, there have been some retirements. Well, that's just the nature of the Rolex 24. There are your 3 Daytona prototypes out of this race. The 3, the 16, and the 18. It's been a higher GT attrition rate, as you can see. And here is our class-leading car in GT, the 07 Banner Pontiac GXP-R. Dorsey, this is quite an incredible performance. We'll get back to that. Mike Johnson has more.
Well, the 07 car just left. Now they went another 3 laps longer on their reins than the 85 car did, which lost them about 5 to maybe 7 seconds, since the other car, the 85, was on, put their slicks on earlier. So I imagine by now, by the time they recycle themselves, you're going to see the 85 car retaking the lead. Over to Chris.
Well, the 59 Brumos Porsche, 4th overall right now. Hurley Haywood getting out, Roberto Moreno getting behind the wheel. This team opting for the slicks. Now, they're not going for brand new slicks. These are worn ones, so hopefully they'll get a little bit more grip on these opening laps when they go out. Also, the 11 car, the Citgo machine with Darren Manning behind the wheel, was in just a couple laps ago. They were another team that opted for the slick tires, so we're starting to see that transition at this point in time. So in our top 5 cars right now, we've got 2 cars on slicks, 2 cars that just came in and got rains, and the 10 machine should be in pit lane probably in the next few laps. Going to be interesting to see what Magnussen goes with.
These cars with the slicks are showing up on the timesheet now. The time's dropping quickly, and Magnussen at a 1:53. Juan Pablo Montoya 56. So that's the right call right now. It's definitely a drying track and the sun is fully out.
It is on at the front of this race. Now, this isn't first and second. This is currently second and fourth. Darren Manning is about to put a move here on Mimo Rojas in the 0-2 target Chip Ganassi with Felix Sabatis, Lexus Riley. Now, this is not for position. It's the 0-1 Ganassi car that is leading with Juan Pablo Montoya, who's a little further up the road. Manning is second, Magnussen is third, Rojas on screen there is fourth, Enger is fifth, Roberto Moreno, who's just taken the wheel of the 59, as Chris detailed, is sixth. Then Brian Frizzell in the AIM Autosport Lexus Riley is seventh. Romo Dumas for Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing is eighth. Michael McDowell in the Finlay Ford Crawford is ninth. And Oriel Servia in the Ford Doran, the Kodak Easy Share car, rounds out the top 10.
Now the top 6, Lee, are all within 1 lap of each other. So you know the guys that are just a little bit, a half a lap away from getting their lap back. They are on full kill right now. They're trying to make these lap times to get by those lead cars, get back on that lead lap.
For those of you tuning in on the West Coast, just want to update you on Gaston Mazzacane in the Porsche Fab car who crashed heavily last night. You may remember the black 18. He crashed heavily on the infield. He was knocked out. He was unconscious for around about 8 minutes, and he was admitted to Halifax Medical Centre following his crash on lap 261. He was awake and alert and will undergo a precautionary X-ray and CAT scan. So on the mend, and it sounds like nothing too serious at the moment. So we wish Gaston Mazzacane well as Darren Manning is able to execute the pass on Mimo Rojas. Now, he is about, just looking out of our announce booth window, he's probably about half a mile behind race leader Juan Pablo Montoya. So let's monitor Darren Manning's progress. Last lap, he and Montoya, there was nothing in it, about half a second in their last lap. A 1:55.8 plays a 1:55.2. So they're running comparable lap times.
Look at Magnussen, who's right behind them at a 1:52.6. He's making 3 seconds a lap.
Chris.
Guys, now remember, Manning is the only car in those top 3 right now on the slicks. So right now is going to be that transition period where we're going to probably start seeing Manning being the guy who's going to start being able to drop those times further, where Montoya and Magnussen are probably going to level off here pretty soon as the track is continuing to dry. Now, Magnussen has not been in yet, so they are going to be able to come in, get those slick tires. Montoya probably going to have to come back in. Remember, he was just in here about 5 minutes ago, so that team possibly making a critical mistake here, losing a lot of their lead by not going with the slick tires if this track continues to dry out.
So Chris, they did go with wets when Montoya went out, huh?
Montoya did go out on wet. So right now in that top 3, the only one on slicks is Manning.
Great move from the Samax team. We're looking at Elio Castro Neves, full of enthusiasm, full of excitement, as always. This is his first Rolex 24 at Daytona, first time in a Daytona prototype, and he's done a pretty good job. The 6 Mike Shank Racing car follows him out of pit road. Ian James is behind the wheel, and they're down in 26th position.
Well, Jan Magnussen might be turning these exceptional laps because he knows he's going to have to come in and get those tires if that's the case. I mean, that'd be 3 seconds a lap quicker than guys that you know are really good drivers. That's an amazing feat.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Now we're starting to talk. Darren Manning's now down into the 153s against Montoya's 154.5, and Magnussen is in. It's time to change. Chris, are they going to slicks?
They are going to slicks, Lee. They're stickering up down here. Four slick Hoosiers. Magnussen going to stay behind the wheel. This team really going after it now. They know they can make up some time. They're hoping to get Mags out there, get the car up to speed really quick. Now, he did shut down the car. I don't know why he would have done that, because these pit stops only take about 30 seconds. This late in the race, you got to get worried when you shut the car down. Is it going to refire? So we're going to have to pay attention to that. The team really taking their time here. This is getting to be a long pit stop, guys. Now, the fuel is still going in. The front right is not on the car yet. Fuel is done, still working on the tires. So the team taking a little extra minute down here, but definitely a little bit of a longer pit stop. Kind of unusual. They were trying to be tracking down that Ganassi car.
That was a miscue on that front tire. Why he shut it off was because you saw the radiator screen completely clogged. The mechanic there cleaning that screen off forgot about the right front tire.
Sometimes, even though that was a slight error, sometimes it's better to spend a few more seconds on pit road than having to come in for a whole new stop. So Magnussen is serviced, fresh slick tyres on, and he is away. This has got to be exciting times for Wayne Taylor. He's got Jeff Gordon, Max Angelelli, and Jan Magnussen in his car.
Careful here. The pit lane is still very, very wet. Racetrack is dry, but the pit lane is not. We've seen cars crash here before. I doubt you'll see Jan do that.
I'll tell you what, last time round, Montoya has just plugged in a 153.9. So those wet weather tyres are not affecting Montoya just yet.
Not yet, they're not. Oh, and he locks up the front tire a little bit there. Temperature's not up on these slicks. It's going to take him about a lap to make that happen. Someone spun. Anthony Foyt there has gone off, not hit anything. That's off the International Horseshoe. It's very slippery there.
Now, is Anthony able to fire this car up, Porsche Crawford, and get it going again?
So some pretty good damage there underneath the 00 on the left side, in front of the wheel. Here's Mags trying to get some temperature, and when he does, buddy, look out.
As we look at a replay of what happened to Anthony Foyt, Manning has just posted another lap for the second consecutive time, a full second faster than Montoya. So here comes Manning. This is what happened to Foyt.
Yeah, simple mistake. He got on the throttle, and there's no grip, and around he goes. Now he's trying to spin the car around here to get back on the racetrack. And there's the front end, and gets high-centered. That's all it takes to high-center one of these. It's not much. They don't have a lot of ride height.
And then, bloop. He stalls the car, so he needs some assistance there. I wouldn't call it in a dangerous position, but he certainly needs some help to get clear of that corner. I tell you what, it's hotting up front. We've got some exciting times up front because Montoya needs to pit, and Manning is just a little over 10 seconds behind. So Manning will take over the lead of this race.
And that was a mistake, sending out Montoya on wet weather tires. It should have been slicks. He's going to have to make another pit stop now to rectify the problem and lose his lead.
Jorg Hart in the Farnbacher Lowe's Porsche as Montoya goes around for another lap. Yeah, the Farnbacher Lowe's GT Porsche is in first position of that class, ahead of the Pontiac GXPR of Kelly Collins, and Jean-Francois Dumoulin is running third. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, a bit of toast. Don't go anywhere. This is hotting up. The Rolex 24 live on Speed. Unique Whips premieres February 21st at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on Speed. This February, the most tricked out show on television returns for another sizzling season. Unique Whips with some of the wildest rides and stars like Pamela Anderson. February 21 right here on Speed. Looking at Paul Tracy for Mike Shank Racing. He'd just taken over from Ian James and had an off-track excursion. Dorse, talk us through.
Paul Tracy coming down into turn one. He gets a little bit too much braking, spins the car out. Now watch this. As he goes around, he's trying like crazy not to get this thing in the guardrail. He spins it the other way. That's all driver control. Just nudges into the tires. Now, did a great job, Lee, of getting this car in reverse, getting it out of the tire wall, back on the racetrack. No damage done whatsoever, and his radiator is not clogged.
We were, during the commercial break, with saying to each other, well, this is going to be another full course caution. It wasn't. PT remained patient and was very clever in just gingerly easing that car back away from the tire barrier and able to get going
and
again.
You see, he never gave up on the car. Even after it had spun, he was in the grass. He reversed the direction of the car, scrubbing it off. Now, there's Juan Montoya. Sorry about that. And look how relaxed he is behind the wheel. I think they made a big mistake when they brought him in and put him on wet weather tires with a pretty drying track with the sun out. This is a very, very skilled driver. Not needless to say. I mean, if anybody could carry the car for at least 3 or 4 or 5 laps, he could have done it.
Considering you worked with him when he first got going in Skip Barber at Sebring, you've forgotten his name already?
Well, no, I've never forgotten his name. And I've never forgotten how good he was, even at that point where he couldn't even speak English yet. It's just hard to say.
Well, while we were away, something else crucial that happened was the Juan Pablo Montoya stop 4 slick tires. Chris, I know you were there at the time. What did you see?
Yeah, well, Montoya went up in the air, and Manning came right down the front straightaway and took the lead. So Montoya giving up the lead during that pit stop, finally coming in and getting those slick tires. He did go with stickers, but it's going to take a few minutes or a few laps here to get those tires up to temperature and get some grip out of them. So Ganassi losing the lead during that last pit stop. Now we talk about, hey, what a mistake. They probably should have gone with the slicks earlier, but the track was very wet. They were leading. They were just being a bit more conservative, and they had to come in because they needed the fuel. So, you can roll the dice either way, but they just played it a bit conservative.
And Chris, when Jan Magnussen came in several laps ago and he put his slicks on, he was not going very quickly until this lap right now. That's how long it took for the slick tires to come up to temperature. Magnussen just dropped into the 149 category.
149.9 versus Montoya's 152.8. Almost a 3-second difference between these guys. This is the race leader, Darren Manning, in the 11 Sitco Pontiac Riley, and who is just going steadily out front. Nice, consistent laps, keeping it clean, keeping it smooth. But the gap between Magnussen and Montoya for Magnussen to get onto the lead lap is diminishing. Very soon, we could have 3 cars on the lead lap of this motor race.
And that is a scary deal if you get that 10 car back on the lead lap. With all the problems they had early on, and with that driver lineup, that 10 car is very potent.
Look out. Still loads of time. Way more than a regular Rolex Sports Car Series race with 4 hours, 10 minutes remaining. So it's an extended period of time, but they're in the zone now, aren't they? They are really in the zone. Ryan Dalziel, Milka Duno, Patrick Carpentier, and this man here, Englishman Darren Manning.
Who just now clocked in at a 148.1. The pedal is down on the Sitco 11.
Makes a difference when there's no traffic, huh?
Absolutely, makes a huge difference. And the track's drying, and all these tires are coming up to temp now.
Speaking of tires, you may have heard Bob allude to it earlier that Pirelli Competizione, the Italian tyre manufacturer, will hold the license for the control tyre in the Rolex Sports Car Series from 2008 onwards. So Hoosier will see the year out. Hoosier, in fact, will remain with the Coney Challenge. But Pirelli next year for DP and the GT classes. Now,
that is Montoya in the second place car going into the International Horseshoe. There is Darren Manning, who is about a half a lap ahead going down the back straightaway into the bus stop. So that's about a half a lap that's going to be made up before that can happen.
This is Thomas Enger, who has brought the 7 in. Chris?
This machine currently running 4th overall right now, still down, I think, a lap. Thomas Enger really doing a great job getting out, handing it over to Chris Vesta. Looks like he's having a difficult time getting the car started here. Looks like the team's going to have to push start the car. They did shut it down. One of those things, not a good thing to do this late in the race, trying to get these things restarted. Vesta finally gets it going. Looks like this team is out, but everything really coming together for this Amex team. You got 2 cars in the top 5.
Well, they're fighting for that 4th overall place with Roberto Moreno and Mimo Rojas. Moreno is an interesting one to talk about. He has just completed, over the past several months, 2,500 miles of testing of the new Panos Champ Car chassis. Did it all at Sebring and really got himself, he said, it took ages for it to happen. He said, just to get myself into the zone. He said, but now I feel as fit and as race focused as I ever have. As we get back to this battle, this is Jan Magnussen, who's just gone through the kink. Now let's see if we can pick up where Juan Pablo Montoya is. Montoya is coming through the tri-oval. So it's about half a lap gap from 1st to 2nd, and then 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah, we're about a half a lap each. Now, lap time-wise, that time, Darren Manning stepped up to the plate, 47 flat. Magnussen, 47.1. Montoya, 49.4. So Mags is catching Juan Pablo.
Weather is stable. No doubt about that. And as we look out the announce booth window, definitely a dry line. Whoa!
Good save.
That looked like Montoya just getting a little squirrely, and Helio Castro Neves has no rear deck lid.
60 car all tore up, no rear deck lid. Look at the rear exhaust pipe left side, it's smashed shut. So the engine performance is hindered quite drastically with that. That car is just tore up. You see it when he comes around the corner. Look at the 2 exhaust pipes. The left side one is not even open anymore.
Been running like that for some time, as you all know. And
there's a fueling thing stuck in the side of it as well. There's a big fuel. Look on the side of the car. They went by too fast to draw on it. But part of the fuel rig is sticking out of the quick dry brake, which I'm surprised they're letting it run like that.
There was so much excitement for this car and this team.
There it is, right up in here.
Coming into this race, but it has been in the wars.
Now it's not what it is either. I'm sorry. It's something
since the beginning of the weekend. Mike.
Yeah, down here with Lee Keene, co-driver for the 85. Your co-driver right now, your work is actually pulling away from everybody right now, about 5 to 6 seconds a lap.
Yeah, this Shoes for Cruiser car, Porsche has just been doing a beautiful job. The guys here at Funmacher Lowell's are just magicians, really. I mean, the car prep and everything is good. The guys in the pits are doing an awesome job. Right now, basically, we just want it to stay green, and then we will be able to get a lap up.
Now, you were one of the first teams to come in and risk trying to put on the slick tires, but now it's pulled up to be a huge advantage because as soon as he got in there, he was going 2 to 3 seconds a lap faster than the 07. Were you surprised to see them wait that long to pull their car in for slick tires?
Yeah, just a little bit. Like you said, get out earlier on the slicks, and it works out better. Jorg is doing an awesome job, so he can go out and kind of work around for a couple of laps, get them heated up, and keep it on the track. So it benefits us well.
Well, when the 85 car came in, they had a 50-second lead. They lost the lead. Now their lead is up to 40 seconds. So the pit strategy down here in the GT is just as important as it is up there in DP land.
Speaking of Daytona prototypes, here's an interesting one. I mentioned yesterday at an early stage in the broadcast, this is actually the very first Riley chassis ever built. This was the original Ganassi car. Now it belongs to AIM Autosport. David Epringham, the very successful Canadian driver behind the wheel, teamed with the Frizzell brothers and young Canadian Mark Wilkins, who will share those rides with the Frizzells this year. And they're in 7th outright. Super performance. If they can finish in the top 10, they will be thrilled. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the 45th running of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Here with Steve Johnson. Steve, you had the pole-sitting car in GT. We talked to you at the beginning of the broadcast yesterday. However, late in the night, things just didn't go your way.
You know, we were in great shape. 3 o'clock in the morning, we're in 5th position. We're making a charge. I'll be kind enough not to name the driver or the car, but this guy lost all brain function and hit us on a restart. It was completely avoidable. It's too bad because we spent an hour in the garage fixing that. And we can run 31 laps here easy in 1 hour. If you add that to how many laps we have, we're the race leader right now. So it's tough, but I'm going to get in the car, and I'm going to finish this last 2 hours here in a bit. And I can promise you, if I get a chance to feed that guy some tire barrier for breakfast, it's going to happen.
Well, now Steve Johnson is the ex-football player, so you have to wonder, does that mean he's going to use the car to feed him the barrier? Or is he going to use his own arms?
Either way, he can get it done. Let me tell you about that. Big boy. Steve Johnson, really like him. We have a good time with him.
Yep. Some great old images of Steve Johnson. Played tight end for Virginia Tech, for the New England Patriots, and of course, the Cowboys. And one of the lines that we used yesterday was he's been on the football field with the best, and now he's on the racetrack with the best in the world. And whoever that driver was picked the wrong car to hit.
Well, he's a really nice guy. I mean, he really is, but I don't think you want to get on the bad side of him, that's for sure. And apparently someone has done just that.
It's interesting, that, isn't it? Something that doesn't feature on drivers' resumes, brain fade.
Yes, it does. It happens.
The 42.
It's Matt Varsha's car.
Team Salem Porsche is in. And I think Matt's pretty thrilled because he's done a lot more driving than what he had anticipated this weekend.
Yeah, at first they thought he was going to get one stint in the middle of the night to help the guys out, but the difficulties on the racetrack with the rain and whatnot, I think the older, wiser gentleman in that car said, Matt, how about driving in this rainforest for a while? And of course, Matt says, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that. Great young driver, Matt Varsha. I'm very impressed with his abilities. Of course, winning a Mazda Pro Series race, Star Mazda race last year, Three Rivers, Canada. That made all of us happy, no question about that. And he'd been knocking on the door for quite some time, running in the top 5 in a very competitive series. Car contact there just a little bit.
Montoya trying to stick it up the inside and then thought about it twice. It's Chris Fester that he's coming up on. And that little moment will be costly in time at a point in time when Jan Magnussen is reeling him in.
Yeah, he's a second a lap quicker right now, Jan Magnussen is. He just ran a 46.6. Juan Montoya was at a 7.7, so exactly a second and a tenth. And now he's flashing the headlights. He doesn't want another incident. This will be a clean pass down to the bus stop. Top 3 cars running the most incredible laps right now. All 3 drivers being told that the race is fully on.
Absolutely it is. All running in the 1:47 bracket, and at this stage of the race, with this track in the condition that it is because of the weather, that is quite remarkable. They are hauling. They are going. Here's the 66 TRG Porsche, and frustratingly for those boys, they are down, well down the order in 41st position. Some dramas overnight. However, when it's time to leave the track and help start planning for the rest of the season and next year's Rolex 24, Kevin Buckler has plenty to occupy his time.
Our other big interest and passion, and my personal interest, has always been in wine. I've been a wine lover and enthusiast all my life. And when we started Adobe Road, it was myself and a couple of friends just making wine on the side up at his ranch. And it continued to grow and sort of morph into a hobby, turned into a passion, turned into a business. So we've taken it from this tiny little micro producer to this next year we'll probably crush close to 6,000 cases. So although we're very small and very boutique, we make 8 different.
We'll come back to that story about Kevin Buckler's wine at a later date, because this is drama. Mimo Rojas has crashed the 02 Target Chip Ganassi Lexus.
Extensive damage the way it looks to me, Lee. Memo Rojas, you look toward the wing area, the back, that seems to be not in good shape. I see damage on the front as well. He's up against the tire barrier. You see the car is just fired. He's got it back. He's going to try to get back underway. It's going to be without the nose if he does, for sure.
There's damage on the back too, Dorsey, isn't there? That's gone in hard. That has gone in hard. Here's the replay.
This is down into turn 1, breaking into 1. We got a slower car in front, GT car.
To Matt Connolly BMW.
Oh, now he's lock up in front of him. He's out in the wet. He just got pushed out into the wet. Round he goes.
That's exactly the same as Paul Tracy, and he kept his foot in it, tried to bring it round.
This might not be. No, it's a good hit. That's a pretty good hit. Left front corner is going to have damage for sure, maybe even the left rear. In any event, I don't see him driving out of there as Paul Tracy was able to.
That is buried. Let's take a look at that again on replay, but real time, not slow-mo, and you'll see how dramatic it was and the force of that hit. That's how quickly it can happen.
Yeah, exactly. And all that because he was passing the BMW, went offline to the outside, got into where the track was still wet. No chance of saving that one.
Now that takes Rojas out of the top 5 and dramatically hurts, if not completely evaporates the chances of Scott Dixon and Dan Weldon repeating their victory.
Well, he was already 3 laps down, trying to make up ground, and of course now he's going to lose many, many more laps.
Race leading car is in. This is Darren Manning for Samax, the Sitco Pontiac Riley. What an effort so far. There's a driver change about to occur, and Chris is there.
Yeah, Lee, I'm actually down at Ganassi right now, so I'm quite a ways away, but I know Ryan Dalziel is going to get behind the wheel of that car. I spoke with Dalziel just a couple minutes ago, I said, man, you're going to be going out there. You're probably going to be taking the lead of this thing. You're going to be out there with the likes of Magnussen and Montoya. You ready for it? And he said, you know what? I am so excited about how we're doing. I am ready for it. Everything is going my way right now. I'm moving over to the Champ Car Championship this year. I'm just having a great time with my career at this point in time. And yesterday, I was out there racing against Jimmy Johnson for the lead, and I was having the best time of my life because that guy's my hero.
Very good pit stop lead, no question about that. They put 4 tires and fuel in. Ryan Dalziel on his way to the lead.
Now, Montoya in. Chris?
Being held.
Well, Montoya back to pit lane. You know, he was just here a little while ago to get those slick tires as he lost the lead when they did that. So right now, just putting a new set of slick on the car, also topping him up with fuel. So the main reason, really bringing him in to get that fuel in the car. These slicks that were on just a little while ago probably didn't have a lot of wear on them, but you got to start over every time you come in for fuel. So that's exactly what the team is doing right now. Very quick pit stop, got everything done before the fuel was in the car.
Now that surprises me, Chris, that they put tires on there. Of course, it doesn't cost them any extra time, but certainly those other tires would have been up to temperature, and the out lap out of the pits would have been much quicker, and the subsequent next 2 laps would have been much quicker.
Well, we're under
caution.
But
we also kind of have to think, Dorsey, you know, there's a potential that this track could really dry out here, so he's going to have possibly a full stint that he might have to go with that fuel, and if he does, as we saw yesterday, a lot of drivers complaining of losing rear grip, so, you know, those 10 or 15 laps he may have had on those older tires may have really hurt him if this goes green this next stint and these cars start to loosen up like we saw yesterday.
And of course, we're under the caution as well, so I mean, it's not much of a gamble. You're right.
here's the thing, is that Ryan Dalziel needs to get up to speed, needs to find his rhythm again. Montoya is already in the zone, and the 0-1 did not come in all that much longer after the 11 was in. This will be a good scrap up front. Dalziel, the Scotsman, up against the Colombian Montoya. It's on at Daytona. Well, people of
This guy stole Dale Jr.'s boat.
enjoying themselves here at Daytona International Speedway. On the track, off the track, in the lake, and off. There's entertainment everywhere. We're still under a full course caution, and this is the heavily damaged 0-2 Ganassi car. That is frustrating, and for young Mimo Rojas, he will be devastated. When they were in with a shot, they were in the top 5, and now that has evaporated dramatically. We were showing you a story, an interesting story about Kevin Buckler earlier on. Here he is. He's down there with Mike Johnson right now.
Well, Kevin, sorry we couldn't finish that piece on you earlier, but I woke up this morning, pulled up the Grand Am timing and scoring, saw you guys had pulled up to second place. By the time I got here, you dropped off the pace. What happened?
Yeah, what a heartbreak. You know, the guys did such a great job all night, and we were in P2. We had the leader inside, and on the restart, I got hit by an idiot in the DP. I was clearly in turn 6. I got hit in my left rear wheel. Broke a couple things. We're back out right now. Guys in the JLO Racing 64 are holding the flag eye for us. Are really pulling for these guys. We want to win this thing if we can. All the cars are on the track. They've all done a great job.
Well, right now, this yellow couldn't have come for a better time for the 64 car because the 85 is pitted, which might give you guys another lap back up on those leaders.
Yeah, Thomas and the guys up on the stand have been doing a good job on strategy on getting our laps back. And I'll tell you what, really got my fingers crossed. My friends Jim Lowe and Jim Pace worked an entire year to get this deal done. And here we are in Daytona. We're running for a podium and hopefully a win.
Well, I'm hoping for you, too, because I miss being with you guys. And over to Chris.
Mike, the SunTrust number 10 machine was just in pit lane. Jan Magnussen hopping out. Max the Axe getting behind the wheel. This team coming back from being over 4 laps down yesterday when they had all those problems electrically. Now the team right here in the hunt. This team is really excited about where they're going in this race this year. New team for Wayne Taylor, but they do have a problem. They have been dealing with this problem since yesterday. The clutch on the car is not engaging when they're in pit lane, so these boys have been pushing this car out of pit lane every single pit stop since yesterday. So this team getting some big legs here today. Now the thing we're going to have to pay attention to is this is coming down to a sprint race, and these pit stops have to be perfect. They're taking an extra 5 seconds to push the SunTrust machine to get it going, so it's really going to come down to these last couple hours, and can these guys stay in this race having to push the car every time they come into pit lane?
Speaking of big legs, give me a look at those moon boots you're wearing. Come on.
Come on, Dippy.
Get your camera guy to give it.
We were watching the rain. We were watching the other guys out here, and it was raining. I was prepared.
You could have floated off if you got deep.
Now my feet are getting a little sweaty.
Thanks, Chris. We are going to squeeze in another quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to go green. We'll take advantage of this yellow and just show you racing. When we come back, stick around.
Ladies and gentlemen,
reminding you that Forza Motorsport Showdown premieres February 21st at 11 p.m. Eastern right here on Speed. It's the Forza Motorsport Showdown. What began as a video game comes to life as amateur drivers push their skills and cars to the max. Don't miss it. Well, there's plenty of fun and games here at the track, and it's about to get a whole lot serious as we have 3 cars on the lead lap. The 06 Banner Pontiac has been released. That quick flash looked like Leighton Reese to me. Team principal behind the wheel as he exits pit road, and they should be thrilled with the performance of these Pontiacs on debut. Mike.
Yeah, great pit stop action down here in the GT field. The 85 car actually came in too early, so they're going to lose a lap to the 64 and the 07. They waited for their wave by, did another lap, got their pit stops done on time, got all the maintenance they needed. Now the 70 car actually tried to short pit everybody else and tried to beat the pace car, but they missed it, so they're going to lose another lap for the rest of the field. I talked to Gary Pratt about their 2 Pontiacs and said, well, now you're on the lead lap, you're going to be with that 85. They said, we got a great team, great car, great drivers, but right now our car just isn't as fast as that Porsche, so they're still going to need some help from the 85 car if they want to win this race. Back to you.
Well, that was good strategy to get those laps back, no doubt about that, but he's right about one thing, Gary Pratt. The Pontiac with the big frontal end just does not have the top-end speed that the Porsche does, so in an out-route race, the Porsche would probably win at this point. But that is a brand new development by Banner Engineering. Leighton Reese behind the wheel now, and they have done a fantastic job keeping those brand new cars out there throughout the night. This will be a war when we go back to green, make no mistake about it. Max Angelelli staying, on the same lap now as Juan Pablo Montoya and Ryan Dalziel. These 3 cars are really going to set sail.
So as we prepare to go green, lights are off on the pace car. It's Ryan Dalziel, Juan Pablo Montoya, Max Angelelli, all 3 on the lead lap. Roberto Moreno for Brumos Porsche is 4th outright and just 1 lap off the lead of the race. There's some important statistics on the screen right there. Continue to run down the order. For Samax, it's Chris Fester in 5th overall, 2 laps down on Moreno. And then, of course, in 6th, due to the number of laps accumulated, it's still the 02 Ganassi car. That will change dramatically once we go back to green. David Empringham for AIM Autosport is 7th at the moment, and Jörg Bergmeister in the Ruby Tuesday Porsche has been flying. The lead up to that most recent full course caution, the German, the reigning Daytona prototype champion, is in awesome form. McDowell is in 9 for Finlay Motorsports, and Oriol Servia for the Kodak Easy Shed Doran is in 10. So that's how they stand, giving you an overview, and we are getting ready to go back to racing. More on the 23.
Yeah, Lee, Jörg Bergmeister is actually reporting right now that he's picking up a very heavy vibration under braking. Now, I can't see where the cars are on the track to see if they're actually going to try to wait for a wave by or put it back in. I'm on my way down to the pits down right now. But right now, he's been flying out there, and they're really hoping to catch that 61 car. And when that one's done, they're just going to go to the next one and the next one. And, last year we were so used to seeing that car just flying when they had problems. But there've been a lot of rules changes since a year ago, and now the car just doesn't have that outright speed that it did last year.
Well, it's got an extra 100 pounds, carrying a little more weight, and it's having to work a little harder. But we know that Porsche engine in the back of it is very reliable. The Crawford chassis is beautiful, and well, Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing, a very experienced organization headed up by Alex Job.
But that heavy vibration under braking is not a good thing whatsoever. I mean, there's a lot of things that can cause that. Any vibration when you're running 190 miles per hour does not fix itself. And when it's related to the brakes, you have to be awfully careful. If you might have a cracked rotor or possibly something along that line, if not, maybe just get away with a warped rotor. But in any event, Jörg will have to brake at about 80% instead of 100% until he figures out what exactly has gone wrong here.
All right, let's get ready to go back to racing. Lights are off. We're ready to go green. And have a look what car is in second place. It's the 7. It's the second Team Samax car. So that may provide some nice rear protection for our race leader, Ryan Dalziel. Let's go green. Here at Daytona, the Rolex 24 springs back into life. and Dalziel will be looking in his rearview mirror, looking out for Juan Pablo Montoya, who has excelled in his first Rolex 24.
Like you say, he's got a teammate covering his back door. That could be very, very good. Since they're not racing for position, he can really be a blocker.
Well, there was 4 cars between Dalziel and Montoya, 6 cars between Montoya and Max Angelelli. This is the race for the lead, and we've got 3 cars in contention right now.
Moreno takes up a position. Not the position, moves the pass.
Well, Roberto is really enjoying a second wind in his career. That extensive testing for the new Champ Car chassis really brought a smile to his face, a spring in his step. He's back to full race fitness and relishing this opportunity to be with such a famous and historic team like Brumos Porsche, and they're running in the top 5. They're just a lap down on the leaders and could still very much win this race and hand Hurley Haywood his 6th Rolex crown.
They could get that car back on that lead lap, and there's only 4 cars up there that need to be dealt with.
This paints the picture beautifully. Just 2 cars now between Dalziel and Montoya. Now, Dalziel, even though he's had several laps under caution, this is his first flyer at full speed. Montoya has experienced many. He's been in for half a stint before Dalziel. So, JPM may be able to eat into Ryan's lead. We will monitor this closely.
First, he's going to have to deal with Mr. Moreno, who looks to be flying.
You ride with Montoya. Update on Angelelli. He's already got by 4 of those 6 cars, and this is a very wide Brumos Porsche. It's proving difficult for Montoya. This will be a source of frustration. He doesn't want Dalziel to get away.
Nor does Moreno want that car to get in front of him, because he's trying to get his lap back. He's not going to pull over. He's got a competent machine there.
A Brazilian and a Colombian. You reckon there's some spirit in these 2 cars?
Oh, that's trouble.
Passionate about their motor racing, these 2 guys.
Montoya with the better run.
Drivers.
Nope, not going to give them up the inside, that's for sure.
There might be a slight love tap here shortly, I think. Juan may just nudge Roberto over, but Moreno has been around far too long to be tricked.
In his own way, though, Juan needs to bump him over because he needs to get on with the project.
Well, look in the background of every camera shot, because not too long until you see the familiar SunTrust 10, Wayne Taylor Racing, Pontiac Riley. Max the Axe is coming.
And Max the Axe lives for competition like this. I mean, this is what this man breathes for, is to go up there and duke it out with somebody. And there he comes.
There he is right there. 1 more car. It's a Red Bull. Correct myself. There he is right there. So Angelelli still has 3 cars to get by. So the task isn't all that easy just yet. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, because of that crash, Rojas has dropped a position. David Empringham and the AIM Autosport Lexus Riley is now up into 6th outright. That is an outstanding performance for a new team. A young team that have done Formula racing. Here's Montoya on the inside of Moreno. Gotcha!
Great job right there. I'll tell you what now, none of these drivers can stay in the car to the end of the race because of the 3-hour rule. You can only drive 3 hours, so there's going to have to be a pit stop and a driver change for all our lead cars.
Well, listen, this truly is a team sport, but one driver who deserves a huge pat on the back, who has set up the platform for Ryan Dalziel to perform, is Darren Manning from Samax. He's with Chris.
That's right, Lee. This is the man who took the lead just a little while ago. Darren, you ran here 2 years ago with Ganassi. Now you're back with Samax. You've got to be loving the position you're in.
Yeah, head of the Ganassi guys. That's what I'm really loving. No, it's been a great battle ever since we started this race, and I can't believe how much of a sprint race it's turned into me ever since the get-go. You know, we went down a few laps early on, and we managed to get a couple back through green, got 1 back through yellow, and we had a big lead there until that yellow came out. But so I guess it swings in roundabouts a bit. But no, it's been a good battle with the 02 car most of the time, and most probably about the last 10 hours the 01 car. So it's nice to be ahead of them though.
Well, guys, this is a 24-hour race. These guys are working real hard. Let me see your hands right now. Look at this right hand here, guys. You think they're doing some shifts out there? 11,000 shifts. That's what it does to your hands. You doing all right?
Well, that's only because I haven't driven anything for a year. That's an old man hand. It got soft and then it got all sweaty, so it's not really that hard out there.
Now, are you going to be getting back in the car later, or are you done for the rest of the race?
Well, I hope not. I'm tired. You know, I want to go sleep. No, we've only got like 4 hours to go. I think Ryan will probably do a couple and let Pat finish the race with a couple of stints.
Now, Lee, you were making fun of my boots because I was worried about the weather. Look at this guy. He's dressed for the Arctic, man.
He comes from Northern England. He knows how to dress for the cold, that's for sure. So there's the road map ahead. Dalziel for at least another stint, and then Patrick Carpentier, who also has done a very good job. And I spoke with team principal Peter Barron earlier in the weekend. Now, he wasn't getting cocky, but boy, he was confident. And he said, we have just got such a sweet package this weekend. I don't want to say too much too early. He said, but we will be there. We will be there.
And you saw that blister on his hand. That is not unusual. He says it's a soft hand because I haven't driven for a while. You get this monster callus sooner or later, but that's very typical of a new driver trying to...
Did you see how close Montoya was to Dalziel? Here comes the Ganassi car. There is a lapped Krone Pontiac Riley right in the middle, but there is first, there is second. It is on. 3.5 hours remaining, and Montoya is again challenging for the lead. The Rolex 24 at Daytona. Wow, what a fabulous event it's been. We've had a little bit of everything. Lee Diffie, Dorsey Schrader with you here in the booth, Mike Johnson and Chris Neville on pit road, and we have exactly 3 hours, 30 minutes remaining until the checkered flag flies. Will it be this, Samax Pontiac Riley? Will it be the Lexus Riley for Ganassi and Juan Montoya to win on debut at the Rolex 24? Or will it be Max Angelelli for Wayne Taylor Racing? Will they do it again? Some important numbers to digest. 550 laps in the books. We've had 9 different leaders, over 28 lead changes, but the compelling stat there is 13 caution periods, full course cautions. There has been some drama here at the World Centre of Racing overnight, and we've got Dalziel leading outright and the Daytona prototype class, while York Hart for Farnbacher Lowes leads the GT class. No traffic now. It's a square-on fight. Toe-to-toe, Montoya and Dalziel.
And Montoya, the quicker of the two cars right now. He's finally dispersed with the cars between them. He's got his sights set for the lead. Ryan Dalziel is going to have a handful.
Here's a list of who has enjoyed the lead. Which particular teams, and there's been a good spread, hasn't there? This has been a memorable race. Such a big build-up. Such anticipation, and boy, it has delivered right until the end. This is for the lead. Look at Montoya under brakes. He is turning up the heat on the Scotsman. Ryan Dalziel, who has a big season ahead in Champ Cars, has a big task on his hands here to hold off a Formula One veteran. Montoya, who is going into an exciting season of his own in NASCAR Nextel Cup, is in with a chance of winning this race.
Montoya cracks it into the 1:45. That's the fastest lap we've seen since the start of this race quite some time back.
Scott Pruitt has been questioned time and time again. How are these two rookies handling the sports car task? Salvador Duran and Juan Pablo Montoya, and the veteran Pruitt has said they have handled it just perfectly. A few minor errors here and there, but they are great drivers, and look at Montoya go. Let's ride with him for a moment. He's good into one, Montoya. He is really good into one. That's where he pounced on Roberto Moreno. And now Ryan Dalziel is feeling the full force of Juan Pablo Montoya.
And right up here is a brake zone that it can be done. Not this time.
Both cars are Riley chassis, but it's a Pontiac power plant versus a Lexus. This is the Lexus you can hear screaming.
Pontiac a little bit more torque, gets the jump off the corner. That helps Dalziel.
He is playing it smart.
It's all this next corner. Who can get back up onto the banking with the cleaner? Cleaner run. Who gets to the throttle first?
It's caution with a spice of force.
The Pontiac definitely has torque.
Watch Montoya to set Dalziel up coming into one. This is the run down the back straight, heading to the bus stop. But watch them when they come around to complete another lap. this is pressure in its highest form, and Ryan Dalziel is excelling. He is handling it in the Sitco Pontiac Riley.
You know what the difference is? That Pontiac Riley gets to jump off the corner. He gets that throttle down, or at least it has the torque to pull about a 3-length gap. Then here comes Montoya on top end. More top end for sure, but it makes it harder in the brake zone.
We came to know Ryan Dalziel in the Champ Car Atlantic Series several years ago, and he does not take any rubbish. He is a great driver. He's a forceful driver. He knows what he wants. But now he must deal with traffic, with some real pressure situations.
Oh, there's a trap right there. There was a trap.
Montoya, left, right. He's finally around the Matt Connolly BMW M3.
A little deep in the corner there, gives up a little time.
And as you may see, it is growing dark. The clouds are back over the top of the Speedway, and things have cooled off a little. Whether the rain returns is yet to be seen.
More traffic to deal with. GT car stays out of the way. Nicely done.
Now look in the background. Let's see where Angelelli is. There's the SunTrust car, and he is closing the margin as well.
He's 6 seconds behind as we speak right now, and he's coming through that same traffic. That 6 seconds will not be there for long.
Give you an indication, last time round, Dalziel was a 146.2, Montoya was a 146.1, and Angelelli a 146.1. So 0.3 of a second for Max the Axe. He is coming. Don't go anywhere. This is about to be a 3-car fight. Back live, Speed's continual coverage of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Montoya on screen, and he is in the pressure seat. He is trying to chase Ryan Dalziel in the Samax Pontiac. Meanwhile, Max Angelelli for SunTrust is closing in, and Montoya has just been slammed by traffic. Dalziel has made very good heads-up work of it, and Montoya seems to be getting trapped each and every time, and Angelelli has also had a bit of a rough time. Show you some vision earlier of just what these boys had to deal with. This is a lap ago of what Max Angelelli and Juan Pablo Montoya had to deal with. Check this out. Oh, he's got jammed again.
Yeah. Look at this. Nowhere to go now. He comes off that corner trying to go around the outside, but there's no way these guys fighting for position amongst the GT class.
Now watch back. Look at Angelelli. Look at this. 3 abreast down into the International Horseshoe.
And that was almost a wreck right there. You saw the right front tire of Angelelli hit the water and started locking up. Did a great job of saving that car.
Big smear on Montoya's windshield there. He got hit by some flying rubber that Dalziel flicked up from the racing surface. Nothing too major though. There's your race leader, Ryan Dalziel.
See these cars twitching all about. Now remember, the traction control has been taken away from the Daytona prototype cars, so they're really on the edge when you see that back end dancing.
Well, how must they feel in the Samax camp? 2 cars in the top 5 to start the 2007 season. Not a bad effort. Stretch into the bus stop. No one between Dalziel and Montoya now.
There's first. There's your second. In the black car, the SunTrust 10, there's third place after this long in the race. 3 hours to go, 3 hours, 20 minutes, and they're all right there.
What a start this would be to the 2007 season for Scott Pruitt. Montoya and Duran helping him springboard his new racing season. Nobody led more laps last season than Scott Pruitt. 257 against Mike Rockefeller's 177. He was way and above everybody else in terms of laps led, and then not to win the championship was crushing for Pruitt. This year, however, it's getting off to a much better start.
We still have the distance left and then some of a normal race, Lee. There's a long way to go.
Well, the normal Rolex Series race is 2 hours, 45 minutes. Well, there's pressure everywhere. Anyone ever tell that crow that rubber's not good to eat?
Neither is the grill.
Well, there's pressure cooker situations for everybody, whether it be Samax, whether it be Chip Ganassi, or Wayne Taylor Racing. Let's get to the team principal now.
Yeah, you're talking about pressure. Wayne Taylor, yesterday we talked to you when you were having electrical problems. You were hanging your head thinking, here's our first run as a team, and we're already having problems early in this race. You guys are in this thing.
Yeah, we are. You know, it's you can never count yourself out in a 24-hour. But when it goes wrong so early, it's really, really tough because, you know, when it goes wrong at the beginning, it can continue to go wrong. Or you can have a trouble-free run and then goes wrong at the end. But, you know, with these guys behind me, they just methodically went through the program, looked at what the problem was, fixed the car, and we've been running. We've had no clutch since the 4th hour, and that's why we have to push each other at the start, at the pit stops. But Max and Jan, Jeff, everybody's an outstanding job.
It's likely that Max will be the only driver running for the championship in this team. It's likely that Max will be the only driver running for the championship in this team. Is it the best thing to have him in the car at this point in time?
No question about it. You know, it's really good. It's really difficult to get drivers at that caliber and to have two of them. And so many of the drivers of that caliber already doing things in other classes. A little bit like what's going to happen with Pruitt. You know, Pruitt now looks like he's good for the championship. So I think it's all pretty good. I think it's really good for Max.
Max can't finish this thing out. Who's going to get back in the car?
Wait and see.
Well, will it be Wayne Taylor, will it be Jeff Gordon, or will it be Jan Magnussen? It's definitely a wait and see down here. Definitely some movement up there. It looks like Angelelli got around Montoya, but Montoya maybe back around Angelelli. Is that what happened, guys?
Staying there, Chris, with Angelelli in second, and Montoya is third. He's just ran a little wide, but let's detail what went down. Check this out. On board with Juan Pablo Montoya.
Tries to pass a GT Porsche. He looks over here, going to go to the outside. Porsche moves him over. All of a sudden he can't make it. Goes off this escape road. Good save there. Doesn't get in the grass, but loses. There goes Max the Axe.
And that was the 72 Taffel Racing Porsche, and that was a very uncharacteristic move from Robin Liddell. He's an experienced sports car campaigner. He may just have been a little unsighted, and it was a costly situation for Juan Pablo Montoya.
It was a great save by Juan, though, no doubt about it. If he had hit that grass, he would have gone right on into the guardrail, but he didn't do that. Race still on.
Dalziel, Angelelli, Montoya. That's how they stand. Moreno still fourth, Festa fifth, Empringham sixth, and Jörg Bergmeister still one lap behind and trying to reel in the gap between he and David Empringham. Oriol Servia is 8th, Michael McDowell 9th, and stationary 0-2.
Max
Mimo Rojas Dixon
is taking a half a second away on that lap. He's coming.
And now he's put in a 44.9, a 1 minute 44.9, plays Ryan Diaz a 1:46.4. Stunning lap time from the SunTrust car, and Angelelli is dragging Montoya along with him. 1, 2, and 3.
44.9, quickest time we have seen thus far today. We're not surprised, though, are we?
Just can't help but to be impressed by the reliability, the pace. 559 laps down, and there's first, second, and third. Just incredible. 3 different teams, all the same chassis. 2 Pontiacs, plays 1 Lexus. Who will come out on top? Hey, wake up. Your car's going good.
Speed's coverage of the Rolex 24 at Daytona is brought to you by Ruby Tuesday. Simple, fresh American dining from start to finish. And powered by Pontiac and the 260 horsepower Solstice GXP.
The sun is shining not only on the World Centre of Racing, but this young Scottish driver, Ryan Dalziel, and his Samax team. Out in front, he's flashing the lights. He wants to let the traffic up ahead know that he is being hunted. He is being chased by 2 of the best in the business, Max Angelelli and Juan Pablo Montoya. You ride with Montoya. He wants that second place back.
How good is Ryan Dalziel? He's outrunning these 2. He ran a 45.6. He's excellent in traffic. We've seen that. And now the pressure from Montoya.
Time and again, Montoya has shown how he can rebound and respond from just slight little hiccups. Occasionally he's run wide on the infield, searching for grip, and he's run wide and got into a very grip-less situation, but then he comes back every time and reduces the deficit to Angelelli.
This intense battle, however, is letting Dalziel get away because both these guys are making several little mistakes, getting in too deep and losing ground. Dalziel is on the mission, going right down the road.
Don't want to forget about GT. It is still Jorg Hart over Kelly Collins over Mark Bassang. So it's all very close in the GT race. Thrilling stuff there. Ralph Cullen is his 4th in class, ahead of the Mazda RX-8 of Sylvain Tremblay. So good work there in the second GXP Pontiac. The 06 is 5th in class with Leighton Reese behind the wheel. The GT scrap has been phenomenal, just like the overall and Daytona prototype class. I want to give a special shout out to someone who's doing it a little tough health-wise at the moment. Our statistician, Rick Radijak, his father, Lee, is, well, he's had better days. So, Lee, if you're listening, if you're watching, all the best from us here in the speed booth, mate, and we wish you all the best. Dorsey with just over 3 hours to go. This can go anywhere. Angelelli's got some traffic. He deals with it efficiently. Forced high on the banking, and Montoya is in his draft.
And they still, you know, they've come so far, but they're running the cars as hard as they can be run, and we still have more than a race distance, normal race distance, left to go. Anything can happen. How many times have you seen in the last 2 hours of a race something go so badly wrong? And they're running the cars very hard.
How valuable is this time on track for Montoya in terms of speed weeks coming up? The Daytona 500 just 3 weeks away. Time on the banking.
Well, he talked about wanting to find out where the bumps are, and the reason he says that is it's very critical on the Nextel Cup car to keep the front end of the car down on the racetrack. Of course, when you hit bumps, the front end comes up. When the front end comes up, you lose your frontal speed and your downforce. So he knows now where all these bumps are. You have to drive a funny line around here. The best at it, of course, was Dale Earnhardt Sr., who actually, when he drove the Corvette down here, turned top-end speeds faster than his teammates because he knew how to dodge the bump. Now listen, you can actually hear it hit bottoming. Listen. That's the actual chassis hitting on the bottom on the racetrack.
First, second, third. Right there, through the bus stop.
Got to be impressed with Ryan Dio, young man holding back 2 ex-Formula 1 stars, 2 of the best there is, who both just turned identical 45.563 lap times to the 1,000th of a second.
Further back with the troubles for the 23 Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing Porsche. That will help Mark Goossens and Jim Matthews, Ryan Hunter-Ray, and of course Jimmy Johnson in the 91 Lowe's machine to perhaps leapfrog up into the top 10. They are still some 11 laps down, but it depends on how long the 02 and 23 are stranded. And for Mimo Rojas, that has greater implications than just not finishing this race. He is in this series for the entire year. He is Scott Pruitt's teammate, and that is exactly the reason why Chip Ganassi, Mike Hull, and the gang separated those 2 drivers, because you hedge your bets. If Pruitt and Rojas had been in the same car, that takes all the championship points away for the rest of the year as far as having them in contention. By having Pruitt in one car, Rojas in the other, it spreads their chances, and Scott Pruitt stands a very good chance of getting a lot, if not maximum points right here today.
Now we have a wayward Porsche out there trying to find its way back home. In the meantime, young Ryan Dalziel has been a master at traffic. Look at him here. Look at him flashing the lights, working through this traffic. Now, it's not just luckily. He's timing these passes, and he's making them work to his benefit. Through the bus stop, he could have tried to make a pass, but it's not wise. He didn't do it. He uses the launch out of there. Now watch it. 1 down. Up and a spin here.
This is Chris Fester. This is a top 5 car. He's got David Epringham, who's eating into him. He's got a 5-lap buffer, so it's not panic stations for Chris Fester. But this needs to be an error-free run for the final 3 hours. There's the 74 Ranch Resort car, Wally and Paul Dallenbach, Catherine Legg, and of course team and car owner George Robinson. Great to have them still running at this stage of the race.
Ryan got trapped here. He's going to be trapped behind the Pontiac as well.
Catherine Legg is behind the wheel right now. They've endured their fair share of problems. They're down in 32nd overall.
This is costing him time. Now this time it didn't work out for him.
And look at the Daytona prototypes versus the GT Pontiac. It's the GXP.
Ooh,
there
Max
goes
the Axe.
Angelelli. And wait, because here comes Montoya.
But here's the deal. Look what it cost Ryan Dalziel. Max the Axe only has one car now between the two of them. And no longer. Here he is.
Wow, look at the margin between the SunTrust car and the Ganassi Riley. Angelelli has been able to weave his way through the traffic more efficiently, and that's given him a huge bonus over Juan Pablo Montoya.
That time DL got held up. We saw it happening as he came into the International Horseshoe. Two cars in front of him. No way to get around them cleanly. And that's all Max the Axe needed.
So look at this. It's on now at the front. So Ryan Dalziel withstood the pressure from Montoya earlier. Now it's the same chassis car. It's a different power plant and a different driver. Angelelli is closing in.
The difference in negating the traffic, 2 seconds a lap. Angelelli quicker getting through that traffic by a full 2 seconds than Dalziel.
2005 it was for Max Angelelli, Wayne Taylor, and Emmanuel Collard, when they stood on the top step of the podium here at Daytona in Victory Lane to celebrate the 24-hour victory. Will they do it again? It wasn't an ideal start, but boy, they have been strong in the second half of this race, as Chris detailed earlier, coming back from a 4-lap down deficit to be on the lead lap and to just be seconds away from Ryan Dalziel in the lead of this motor race.
And this is when Max the Axe is magic. He gets you in his sights, and then he focuses in on the kill. He's got it doing it right now.
What do you think?
There he is. He's coming.
What do you think at home, folks? Will they put Magnussen back in the car? Will they put team principal Wayne Taylor in the car? Or will they put Jeff Gordon in the car?
It'll be Mags, I guarantee you. That's not the only decision. All three of these guys have the same decision to make. Whoever gets in those three cars at the end is going to determine who wins this race and who loses it.
Well, I think Wayne wants to keep his eyes on the bigger picture. I think Jeff Gordon would relish the opportunity, but I think Jan Magnussen is the man for the job. Mike, what do you have?
Yeah, down here in the 23 garage, now at the top of the show, we talked about if the 23 had any problems being at pit out, they had a long way to go. These guys had to go basically a half mile to the far side of the garage just to get to work on the car. They got here late, but they are frantically working. They had a lot of rear end suspension. At that last stop for the 02 car, they did not decide, they did not change tires. So Jurg was trying to run as hard as he could on what he had. They got back up to 7th place. I'm with Jurg. Jurg, what happened out there?
Well, I got oversteer in the bus stop. During the stint without the new tires, I got more and more oversteer. Just got a slide in the bus stop, hit a wet spot there, and that was it. I'm really sorry for the team that happened.
Well, the team Ruby Tuesday team obviously pulling out all the stops this year. They hired the current reigning Daytona prototype champion. You know, there's still a long championship to go. They got to 7th, and you know, this car's gonna be back out, and they're still hoping for maybe a top 15 finish.
Even the best can make little errors. Jörg Bergmeister apologising to the team for a slight mistake, caught a wet patch, and that's how easily it can happen. But it's so important for Team Ruby Tuesday to keep working as they will to get that car back out on track. Each and every point is important as Angelelli closes the gap on Ryan Dalziel. Take a look at this. It's on for the lead of this race with 3 hours to go.
And traffic.
Samax versus Wayne Taylor Racing. Dalziel versus Angelelli. And there is one place Max loves to be, and that is with a clear track ahead, up front, on the top of the timing and scoring system.
This is exactly what this man lives for. No more passionate guy than Max Angelelli. 5 laps down in the middle of the night, had worked its way back, looking to take the lead.
This is just round 1 of 14 in the Rolex Sports Car Series, presented by Crown Royal Special Reserve. What a year we have for you. Off to Mexico City next, March 1 to 3, and a wonderful championship ahead. What a firecracker start to the year. The last win for the SunTrust car as it catches some debris on track.
SunTrust hits debris. You saw it fly out from the back now. Did it get a tire? Did it hurt a tire? We have to be careful. These are all carbon fiber cars. This stuff is just like a razor blades laying out there on the track.
Last time that SunTrust car saw victory was with Max Angelelli and Jan Magnussen at Laguna Seca last season. Wayne Taylor stepped back. He had a lot on his plate last year, and Jan Magnussen stepped in to do around about half the driving duties. He shared that with Wayne Taylor in 2006. So Magnussen and Angelelli have a wonderful working relationship. Will they again taste victory today? We'll know come 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
You're Ryan Dalziel. You have to be a cool customer. Hit every mark. Hit your brake marks. Turn in. Don't get in with too much speed. Get on the throttle earlier than he does. Forget that he's back there. Except when you come out the corner, then look, see where he is. That 11 car comes off the corner really strong. Gets to the throttle and squirts.
Let's bring you back a replay of earlier. Keep a close eye on the debris that Angelelli picks up.
Off the back, under the wing, you're going to see it fly. There it goes right there. Boy, I don't know what that was. Certainly something underneath the car, got up underneath there, shredded it up. Could have been a windshield tear-off if he was lucky.
Well, you think of the Southeast associated with SunTrust Bank and Wayne Taylor. The team is actually based in Indianapolis, Indiana. There's Wayne Taylor, the team principal, and his men have done a mighty job over the off-season, and it really isn't much of an off-season, mind you. They worked incredibly hard to get this car just spot on for the start of the 2007 season.
I'll tell you one thing they got right, and that is the launch off the corner. In NASCAR terms, it's forward bite. It's got a lot of it, because when he gets on that throttle, that car squirts away from Angelelli. Angelelli makes it back under braking, but that's harder on the car than the way Ryan Dalziel's doing it.
It's hard. It's a difficult position for Ryan Dalziel.
I would say.
Out in front with the pressure behind. And there's Montoya, top of your screen. The blue, red and white Telmex Ganassi car. Chris?
Lee, looking back at last year, Dalziel and Angelelli never had a good relationship. It all started back at Long Beach when both of them got in way too deep in turn 1. And from then on, it was practice, qualifying, or race. They were always into each other, and all season long, they were very verbal about their dislike for each other. So you know right now, they're not going to give each other an inch on the racetrack. These two drivers are going to give it everything they can.
You're right, Chris. They really kind of hated each other by the middle of last season. Made no bones about it and took every pot shot they could at one another. Will it carry over to this season? That's what I'm worried about. And the importance of this 24-hour race, is it worth it to mess up both cars?
They're not about to do it right now, that's for sure. This is probably the most cautious I've ever seen Max Angelelli drive. He's playing it smart at the moment. He's just hounding Ryan Dalziel, pressuring him.
Not too sure Juan Pablo hasn't backed off a little bit to get his tires back in check. He was sliding the car around an awful lot there. Now I think he's back on strong, and he's not that far behind these two.
Well, his last lap round was half a second faster than these two here. And look at Dalziel signaling. Here comes Angelelli on the inside. He thought about it. Then Dalziel closed the door. They need to get through this GT traffic efficiently without any hassle. And there are 3 cars up ahead for Ryan Dalziel to deal with first. That was a close call.
That's called putting you on the money, is what that's called.
Up onto the 74, Taffel Racing Porsche. Through by one of the TRG cars.
Steady, boys. Slip up here and you're in trouble.
An example of the multi-car teams. And Montoya has closed the gap. The pressure down in Wayne Taylor Racing would be unbearable for the team principal.
Montoya had run too hard too early. His tires went off. He was sliding around. He knew it. He backed off. He let it cool down. Now guess what? The fastest car is now the 3rd place car, Juan Pablo, coming toward the front.
Last time round, Dalziel and Angelelli were in the 147s. JPM laid down a 145.6. Here he is. Let's ride with him. He is flying. 1, 2, and 3.
This
Simple as that.
Great stuff. Unbelievable. 2 hours, 50 minutes to go. And this is a separation after 23 hours.
Chris, what do you got?
Hours.
Well, Lee, we just started getting into that fuel window for the 10 car, so if we get a caution, Max Angelelli will be coming to pit lane for fuels and tires, and we have to remember here, guys, these guys can't get that car in gear because of the clutch, so they have to push it out of pit lane every single time. So it would be good right now. Angelelli take the lead and try and stretch it a little bit to build himself a bit of a cushion before he has to come in next time.
Right, now Angelelli is growing impatient. Don't get out there too far, Max. That's where we've seen a couple fall off the road. It is on. Dalziel, Angelelli, and Juan Pablo Montoya.
That is a good point Chris Neville makes, though, because that extra 5 seconds in the pits will lose them if they don't have that much in hand when they go in there. That pushing it out of the pit and popping it in the first gear is not as easy as it seems.
That takes so long to make up 5 seconds on the racing surface, doesn't it? To lose that in the pits. We'll wait and see how that pans out. We wait and see who they will inject into the 10. We know that Patrick Carpentier, the French-Canadian, will take over the 11, and more than likely it will be Scott Pruitt who will take the 0-1 home. But who will drive the 10 to the checkered flag is the question. No driver can do more than 3 hours in a single stint. No one driver is allowed to do any more than 15 hours.
And now it's the 10 car you see sliding at the back end, stepping out a little bit. Max Yax is trying very, very hard to get around that car and make that 5-second lead he needs.
You saw the 59 on pit road. Roberto Moreno has done a great job in the Porsche-powered Riley for Brumos Racing. Festa is in 5th position. Bert Frizzell in the AIM Autosport Lexus Riley is 6th. Oriol Servia is 7th. And Michael McDowell is 8th. The 23 Ruby Tuesday Porsche, York Bergmeister 9th, and Goosens, the car that Jimmy Johnson is in the top 10. The Morgan car with Timo Bernard and BJ Zacharias, they're in 11th, and Jorg Hart is in 11th. Let me take that back, is in 12th, and that is the lead GT car. We may have a GT car in the top 10 overall. Meanwhile, this is 1, 2, and 3 for the outright lead and the Daytona prototype lead.
Tell me you're not impressed with Ryan Dalziel. Unbelievable job he's doing.
To handle the pressure of seasoned drivers like Angelelli and Montoya, stunning stuff.
And this, without doubt, under full attack. No holds barred here.
He wanted to put himself in the spotlight coming to North America in open wheelers. Well, he's really in the spotlight now, but it's in sports cars, in Daytona prototypes. And what a great launch pad for his year ahead in the Champ Car World Series.
Peter Barron's team has done a fantastic job with that car. That car is still just on a rail.
This has got to be fun for these boys.
You know it is.
Locked in a battle like this for the lead of the motor race and less than 3 hours to run.
They'd enjoy a lot more if they could breathe every once in a while, but they're not breathing much right now.
And it's nice to see the racing surface in this wonderful venue bathed in sunshine after some pretty dreadful weather.
Max got a good run off that corner. He really got out of there good. I'm impressed with that Samex car, though. I mean, it really squirts off the corners hard.
Identical cars here, both Pontiac Rileys. And Montoya in a Lexus-powered Riley.
Here we
Look
go.
at Angelelli, he's setting it up. This began at the bus stop. He goes high through NASCAR 4. And the run down into 1.
They're trying to
through
cut
the
underneath.
tri-oval.
Ryan's not going to give it to him.
Dalziel's got him covered every lap.
Watch now. That acceleration off the corner gives him that little added bonus that he needs. Takes the pressure off. See, he opens up 2 car lengths. Now Max will take it back away. Oh, but the pressure is on.
Well, this is okay. That's a sister car. That is the second. That's Chris Festa in the 7. So he'll make an easy passage through for Ryan Dalziel. No doubt about that. He stays wide. Good driving, Chris Festa. In fact, he'll let all 3 through.
As well he should. Pinches Juan Pablo a little bit.
A little tight there for Montoya. No harm done. And lets these 3 boys get on with the race at hand. Roberto Moreno, incidentally, has remained in the 59 Brumos Porsche. and maintains his top 4 position. Good work. They're into a regular rhythm now. They're just feeling each other out in the top 3. Scotland's Ryan Dalziel, Italy's Max Angelelli, and Colombia's Juan Pablo Montoya. Speed's live and continual coverage of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And as you see, the battle is still very much on at the front. No changes while we're away. You didn't miss anything. It is still Ryan Dalziel leading Max Angelelli and Juan Pablo Montoya. And there's a fabulous story with the guy who was the team principal of this Samax team, the Sitco car, Peter Barron. It wasn't that long ago that he was in the driving seat. He's now with Mike Johnson.
Oh, hey, all right, down here with Peter Barron. Peter, you got to be excited right now. This is amazing.
It's just gut-wrenching. I went to bat to get Ryan on the team. I absolutely love Ryan, and he is doing, he's been in front of Max and Juan Pablo this whole stint. It started with those guys right behind him, and I don't think you could ask for anything better from a guy.
Now, we saw at the beginning of the race a lot of the Pontiacs having trouble with their engines. You went a total different way. Your own engine builder went to Hasselgren Motor, and you have 2 cars in the top 5. That's got to be great, too.
Yeah, we worked so closely with Paul Hasselgren. We're super happy about what he does, and really puts a lot of effort and time into it, and it's just looking great right now. I can't say enough nice things about his motors.
Now, tell us the driver lineup for the end of the race for both cars.
Well, Ryan's going to pit now any moment here. Then he's going to do a double. He's feeling good. Then we have Pat's going to hop in. And if he's feeling good, you never know how these guys are this late in the race. If he feels good, he's going to take it to the finish here.
All right, well, the 10 cars kind of keeping their cards to themselves. Peter Barron says, here's who we are. Here's what we're doing. Come catch us if you can.
And that's one of the rare times you'll see Peter Barron with a serious face.
Pit lane. Leader.
Lead car is in. He said that. He said that Dalziel would be pitting any moment now, and he has. Now look at Montoya, though. Montoya's putting the screws into Angelelli, down into 1. He was right on him, heading through the tri-oval and trying to pounce for the lead. Dalziel cruises down pit road. It's time for some more gas, some fresh tyres, and Dalziel will put in one more stint before we see former open wheel star Patrick Carpentier. Angelelli's gone wide. Montoya's got the lead again.
What a nice move that was. Angelelli, a little too much speed to cut down on that corner, goes out wide, opens the door, and Juan takes it.
Let's check in on this stop for Ryan Dalziel.
Yeah, the stop right now looks absolutely perfect, just waiting on the fuel. They don't want to drop the car until the fuel's done. That way there's no mistake about if it's time to go. Car drops are waiting. They're waiting for that fuel to go. You can hear Ryan Dalziel revving the motor. Fuel down, off he goes.
Beautiful. That is a textbook stop. Nice work from Team Samax and Ryan Dalziel. Let's take another look, though, at that move. Montoya on Angelelli. Montoya, you ride with the new race leader. It was a low speed, low drama, but it was enough to get Montoya back into the top spot. Here we go.
Come up the turn 2 area right there, make it through the little S corner. Traffic up ahead. Might have slowed Angelelli, but he gets in here a little too hot. Goes out wide. Look, the car pushes. He can't turn it. Juan can.
Good catch, though, from Angelelli.
Absolutely.
Great catch. Quick hands.
You talk about understeer. That was it. He could not make the front of the car turn.
And we're building closer to stops for both the 01 and the 10. Speak of the 10, here we go. Angelelli's in. They're mirroring each other's strategy. And let's see how efficient and fast they are. Chris, let's see how costly this is.
Well, everybody going through the motions here. Angelelli staying behind the wheel. This is going to be a perfect stop for this team. They're going to make sure they hit everything on the money. And as soon as that fuel is done, they can get this car back out on track. We're expecting them to have to push the car to get it started. Now, the 01 should be in a couple laps. Remember, Montoya came in probably 5 laps or so after the 10 and the 11, so he's got a little bit longer to go on fuel. Crew members already behind the car, just waiting for the last drops of fuel to go in the SunTrust machine here. We got 3 guys on the rear wing to push this thing as soon as all the fuel's in the car, and these guys are pushing it. Angelelli hitting the starter. It fires up. Angelelli is away. Now, Lee, you were talking a few minutes ago about the sun coming out. It is starting to come out. The weather still in question here, but as soon as that sun comes out, you can definitely feel the ambient temperature going up. I talked to the team manager at SunTrust, Simon Hodgson. I said, you guys are all concerned about that coil overheating. If we start seeing some temperatures go up, you guys concerned about that coil? He said, we're pretty confident.
The 11 sweeps around the outside and gets out. No worries. So Angelelli has the work to do. Dalziel is in great track position.
Better pit stop by that much, just right there.
And that could very well be the difference between going out under your own steam and having to rely on 3 guys pushing you out. It's just marginally slower, but 1 or 2 or 3 seconds is the difference you see right there.
And that doesn't guarantee it'll start when they push on it either. I mean, they got it going that time, but that's not the end of it.
They were good stops from both Samax and Wayne Taylor Racing. What you need. So now the pressure swings back to Ganassi and one Pablo Montoya and his crew. And does Montoya step out now and Pruitt take it right through to the end, or will Montoya go one more stint? We will find out when we come back on the other side of this. Glad you could be with us on Speed's live coverage. You're watching Sports Cars on Speed. Pink's premieres February 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on Speed. This February, it's pride, it's passion, it's adrenaline. Of course, it's Pink's. Speed's hit series is back and the excitement reaches its peak on the quarter-mile track. The negotiation circle, you know the deal. Lose the race, lose your ride. Pink's Season 4 premieres February 21. We have a new race leader and the race is on. So all fueled up, fresh tyres aboard, the Ganassi car, the Samax car and the SunTrust car. But Montoya stayed out for a couple of laps extra. Now Dalziel is putting the pressure on. What a moment for young Ryan Dalziel, hassling the heck out of Juan Pablo Montoya.
Montoya throws the block, no doubt about it, moved up in front. Intentions known, I'm not going to let you by easily.
Great stops from all 3 teams, but it was costly. Just that extra little time for the SunTrust 10 has put him back in 3rd. Angelelli is playing catch-up now to Montoya and Dalziel. Great fuel economy out of the Lexus for the Telmex Ganassi car. So for these 3 drivers, it is their final stint of the Rolex 24. And our tip is that Montoya will hand over to Pruitt, Dalziel will hand over to Carpentier, and Angelelli will hand over to Magnussen.
And they will have the hardest time because of the push starting. Oh, it chops down, got through good. That push start's going to cost them 3 seconds lead, no matter what they do on the pit stop.
And then Max has to work extra hard, in which he is a 145.1 against Dalziel's 145.9 last time around. So Angelelli's turning some good laps, but the pressure is on. Updating you on GT, Dirk Werner in the Farnbacher Lowe's GT Porsche is still leading from Mark Basseng, and then Andy Pilgrim in that Pontiac GXPR is running 3rd. That's your update there.
See Montoya get that toe down into the bus stop? He's thinking NASCAR. He went right in there up underneath the other car to get that extra mile per hour. Of course, then the Porsche that was in there, the GT killed him. Now, Dalziel's going to get the pull.
Look at this traffic. He needs to get by the Chiva car and does so reasonably efficiently. Now, while we were away in the commercial break, it was exciting times. Pressure was on the Ganassi squad to service Montoya as fast as they could. They did a wonderful job, but the pressure was on the end of that and the pit exit. Watch this. Montoya on your right, Dalziel on the left.
Dalziel coming around the corner right now. He's got the hot tires. Montoya on cold, but he's going to have to get him up to temperature quickly. And that's a challenge. How far can you go before you get too far, push off the edge?
And then he's handled the pressure very well, Montoya has. Dalziel has thoroughly enjoyed giving it to him He's taking the fight, and we will constantly monitor where Angelelli is as well. All three cars on the lead lap. I think that's Angelelli at the top of the screen in the SunTrust Pontiac Riley. So he's not too far away, but that playing catch-up business will be frustrating.
Well, he made up a second and a half that lap. Max Angelelli at a 46 flat. Both the other boys at 47.5s.
Doing it on the track as opposed to pit lane takes more out of the car, tyres, fuel, etc., and takes more out of the driver mentally and physically. But he's within touch. If he can get a clear passage through, this is what Max Angelelli is looking for. Updating you on other positions within the top 10 outright. Moreno is still fourth for Brumos Porsche. Chris Vesta in the Pontiac Samax car is still fifth. Bert Frizzell for the AIM Autosport Lexus Riley sixth. Valiente seventh for Finlay. Then Gidley is in eighth for Doran. Then ninth is Mark Goosens for Lowe's, Riley Matthews. And Timo Bernard in the True Sport Porsche is in the top 10. Your Bergmeister has dropped to 11 in the Ruby Tuesday Porsche. And then it's Dirk Werner in that best Porsche GT3 Cup car for Farnbacher Lowes is in 12th place outright. Great stuff. Well, let's talk more about the progress of this Pontiac GXP-R. It's gone well, Mike Johnson, hasn't it?
Yeah, ladies, you guys have been having a great run all night, all day, and but you're just a little bit slower than those Porsches over there. I mean, can you catch them, or is it just a little bit off right now?
You know, we're ultra consistent. The Pratt Miller and Banner team are making fantastic stops. We're super consistent. We've got some good pit strategy. Yeah, we're a little slower than we want to be on the banking, but on the infield, Pontiac GXP is handling awesome.
Well, now once we get a little deeper into the season, we get away from these kind of super speedways. You think your car's really going to start to shine once we get to the shorter tracks?
Yeah, we've got a little more aerodynamic drag, and we get to the tracks where our 8-cylinder torquey motor will make up the difference. I think we'll be in good shape. But yeah, you know, when you first looked at the lap times and tested, boy, we were hanging our heads. But these guys, man, just keeping their chin up and banging away all night long.
Well, we got a great battle up in DP, but we also have a fantastic battle down here in GT. And the thing to note, while we were watching that Daytona prototype battle, the 07 car actually had to come in for a stop and go on one of those restarts. So they've now dropped down to third, and the 22 Allegra Motorsports cars up into second.
Big contingent of GM heavy hitters here. Doug Feehan, Steve Wasilowski, and a whole bunch more, and they will be thrilled with the progress of that new Pontiac to be that high up in GT.
Of course, this is the worst track for the aero drag they're talking about. Most of the road racing tracks don't have this high bank, high speed, long straightaway situation, so they're probably at their worst right now, and that's not that bad.
Now, right there on track in the 75, right in front of Max Angelelli, JJ Lado enjoying his first race meeting in a Daytona prototype. His day has not gone exactly to plan, and Krone Racing will be somewhat frustrated because the race meeting has not gone to schedule.
Actually, that's a 76 Nick Johnson that's in the Krone car. They look exactly alike. You can't even really tell the lettering difference and the numbering difference. But it is Nick Johnson that's holding up Max Angelelli right now.
Nick getting set for another full season. Look at this, weaving your way through traffic or what. Montoya and Dalziel doing a slick job of that. Yeah, we look forward to seeing Nick Johnson and Tracy Krone again. The Krone Racing Pontiac Rileys, the Atlanta-based team. And then, of course, Young, Colin Brown, and Max Pappas doing the entire season as well. So we've got some fabulous cars, fabulous entries in this year's Rolex Sports Car Series. 1 and 2. Going blow for blow. Angelelli, whoa, there's a massive lose there in the bus stop. Was that engine or tyre? I'd say it was tyre. Was it a big lockup from that Pontiac?
Or was it that Corvette?
Or the Stevenson Corvette?
Had to be tyre.
That was a huge plume of smoke.
That'll make you nervous when you're racing for the lead.
And that tyre will be wounded.
Oh, good run going here. Dalziel in the draft. He's got position to get the run, no question. Moves to the high. Not this time.
Well, if anyone knows how to set up a move down into one off the tri-oval, it's one Pablo Montoya.
Trouble again up front. Oh, and that time it looks like engine smoke.
Yeah, it's not tyre.
Well, you don't want to get oil.
That is the 85. That is the 85, one of the best GT Porsches in the field. and it's the GT class leading car, Dirk Werner. Is he running into trouble? It certainly looks like it. That car for Farnbacher-Lols has been bulletproof, perhaps up until now.
That's two huge plumes of smoke, and I'm not sure what the problem is, but there is one.
Well, we spoke with Carlos de Quesada earlier. It's a great lineup in that car. Drivers who have won the GT class here at the Rolex 24 before, but maybe it is going to go away from them. We'll find out when we come back on the other side of this break. Class battles, overall battles. It is on here at the World Centre of Racing. Welcome back, everyone. The Rolex 24 continues. Lee Diffie and Dorsey Schrader with you here. Mike Johnson, Chris Neville on pit road. And boy, have we got a race. If you've just tuned in, this is stunning stuff. We've got 3 cars on the lead lap up front going blow for blow. Juan Pablo Montoya, Formula One superstar, is leading the way in his first Rolex 24. He's got young Scottish driver Ryan Dalziel, who now competes in the Champ Car World Series, chasing him down. And former series champion and race winner, Max the Axe Angelelli for Wayne Taylor Racing in the SunTrust Pontiac Riley, sitting in 3rd. And guess what? Guess who is suiting up for the 01? Scott Pruitt, and Chris is there.
Lee, I was just talking to Scott. He was ready to talk to us, but the team said, hey, we really need you to get your gear on. You got to get your helmet on. You can go back over and talk to Speed as soon as you're ready. But the thing is if we go to a caution, we're going to bring Juan in, and we've got to have you ready to get in that car. So Scott had to peel away from us. He's going to come back over and talk to us, but he looks very fresh. He got some rest, and he's ready to get in this fight.
Well, this race has been a source of frustration for Scott Pruitt, who, of course, has won this before. But in this current configuration of Daytona prototypes, this race has eluded him. He has been a champion of the DP category with Max Pappas a couple of years ago, but he wants this big one. In Chip Ganassi colours, in the Daytona prototype, and he is less than a regular race distance away. Check out Ryan Dalziel and how out of shape he got.
Look at this, a little Watusi going on as he's trying to get that car. Yeehaw! Oh. Great car control. Ryan Dalziel got in a little too hot. Got it crossed up, saved it. That's how hard they're trying. And that was a good call by Ganassi to get Scott Pruitt ready. If a caution comes out, and there very well could be a caution. We've seen a couple of cars out there smoking quite heavily. If one of those should blow up or something happen, it could happen just like that.
Well, guess what? Speaking of smoking cars, the Grand American Road Racing officials are not pleased with the Farnbacher-Lols GT Porsche of Dirk Werner. We highlighted that earlier for you, that it was smoking excessively. And I think they may be calling that car in. Mike, you can add.
Well, I'm down here with the team, and they say they're going back and forth, and they're arguing their points, saying, look, you know, we don't see anything, we don't hear anything, the driver's not complaining. They don't even have the crew ready. That's how much confidence they have that there's not a problem with their car. Now, of course, they see it on TV, but they're not going to come in unless Grand Am absolutely forces them to.
Yeah, it's evident on our monitors, on our pictures here at Speed, but when it comes time to plead innocence, that's what they will do, unless it gets to a point where it is too serious. And the GT class leading car is under a question mark at the moment. The Allegra Motorsports Fiorano Racing.
There's another one going. The Corvette right through Stevenson's car, smoking pretty heavily.
Second place Porsche with Marc Basseng behind the wheel. Jean-Francois Dumoulin, one of the star drivers in that team. They're sitting second and ready to pounce if indeed the 85 Porsche does get called in. And Andy Pilgrim, former overall race winner here at the Rolex 24 and more recently a Speed GT champion, is sitting in 3rd. And Angelelli just keeps chipping away at these guys. Last time around, he was a full second faster than Ryan Dalziel. So he continues to reel in these front 2 cars. There's your race leader. We know Pruitt is kitted up. He's ready to go.
You saw that Corvette back there. It was really limping along, smoking heavily. I mean, anything like that could bring a caution out. That should just give up right there in the back straight.
Mother Nature threw a curveball in overnight with excessive rain, and particularly this morning.
High wind as well. It was really blowing this morning.
But I'm pleased for the boys and the teams that we've got, well, typical Florida conditions now. Nice and sunny. There's Pruitt. He's good to go. super fit. He's been a star of American racing, whether it be closed cockpit cars or open wheelers for decades. Triple Trans Am champion. He's a Rolex Series champion. Picked up Toyota's first pole in Champ Car racing. He was a Champ Car race winner. He went all the way to Nextel Cup. You couldn't have a more well-rounded driver to hand the car to take it to the checkered flag. And we know the fuel efficiency of this 01. It's good with the Lexus power plant in the back.
Started racing at the age of 8. Go-karts. Dare I say, that's about 40 years ago.
All right, let's hear from him. He's with Chris.
Scott, you've run so many of these 24-hour events. Have you ever been in a position like this so late in the race?
Not a 24, a 12 out of my family at home. We did a 12 hours at Sebring, and we ended up passing the leader the last lap, the last turn of the last lap to take the win. So this is what we talked about earlier. These cars are good enough and strong enough. You can run them hard. I mean, as you can see, there's 3 cars that are running hard right now. And I'm anxious to get out there and get in the fight.
The way this thing is going, are you ready for a last lap pass?
Hey, I'm ready for anything. Whatever it takes to put that sucker in victory lane.
Hey, whatever it takes, you know Pruitt's going to do it.
Well, victory lane here at Daytona International Speedway. He's been there. Once overall here for the Rolex 24. 6 individual class victories for Scott Pruitt. He knows what that's all about. Now, here is the Allegra Motorsports Fiorano Racing 22. It was in the tyre wall outside turn 1 early in the race. Right now, Mike Johnson, this car's vying for the lead in GT.
Well, Jean-Francois Dumoulin did some great driving through the middle of the night, through the darkness, through the rain, got this car back up into second place. Now, he's a previous winner of the race. He's with his team owner, manager, Fiorano. Now, you guys have won this race before, so how do you keep your crew and your drivers, patient when you see the 85 cars having some trouble?
Obviously, we're just doing our best out there. We just need pushing hard, and Mark is doing a great job out there. He's been doing really good all night, and everybody, the team pit stops are just buying on. The team from Allegra put a good job all night. We just hope the best for us. Obviously, we always want to win this race. We know the other Pontiac are good too. We're just going to keep it pushing hard and hope everything stays together.
Well, the Porsches have seemed to be the faster car in the GT class, but do you guys have the speed that the 85 car has? I mean, are they going to we're going to see you back in the car and watch you finish it out?
I think we're pretty good, but Dirk, when Dirk Warner's in the car, he's really quick. We don't know exactly what he's doing, but we're quick enough to be able to stay in the game and for second place and hopefully to get the win, but we'll see how that's going to turn out.
All right, well, there's still plenty of racing to go. In that 85, the smoking's getting worse and worse, and they're still having a lot of communication with Grand Am deciding if or not they're going to bring it in.
Well, guys, it's starting to look like a boxing match, and in one corner we got Scott Pruitt, in another corner we got Jan Magnussen. Mags, you ready for this battle?
I'm ready. I think we have a really good chance. So exciting. These last couple of hours have been great.
Now, there's definitely concern. The car is not engaging the clutch coming out of pit lane, so when you guys do your driver change, the crew has to push the car. How much is that going to hurt you?
It's a longer pit stop, and that hurt us in the last stop. Angelelli got quite a bit back after the last stop. So I don't know how much, maybe 5 seconds at the pit stop, but we'll just have to push harder on the track.
Well, we've seen Jan Magnussen definitely push hard on the track. He's had so many great drives in the Rolex Series.
How good's this going to be? Scott Pruitt up against Patrick Carpentier, up against Jan Magnussen, but there's some business to be dealt with right here because Angelelli wants second place. He's had to play catch-up. It's been half a second, a full second, 1.5 seconds. He's been eating out of Montoya and Dalziel. He has finally caught Ryan Dalziel. Can he execute the pass? What about that under brakes?
That's what we talk about, Max the Axe, man. He gets on that brake and knows how to do it. He's made up 5 seconds in this stint. You think he'll stop now? No.
That's why we nicknamed him the Axe. He just chops down on the inside, and under braking, he is savage. And he has given it his all.
I've never seen anybody outbrake Max Angelelli. He is the master with the brake pedal.
High on the banking. Down the super stretch toward the bus stop. There's been some pressure released from Montoya. There he is, just on the left of screen, into the bus stop already. And Angelelli continues to turn the screws on Ryan Dalziel. We are working closer towards the next round of stops. and we're working our way towards the checkered flag.
Welcome back to the Rolex 24 at Daytona. We've talked to the two other drivers who are going to be in this fight. The third and final guy, Patrick Biantier. Patrick, you're going up against a couple guys who have won this race before. This is only your second time here running it. Are you ready?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we're ready to fight, man. We're going to go and try to fight it to the end. We had a great 22 hours so far, so there's only 2 left, and we're going to go there and give these guys a fight for sure.
What does the car have left in it? Is Ryan just taking care of it, or is he giving it everything he has?
You know what? The whole race, we've been giving everything we have. You know, we've been taking care of it, but this race, like a sprint race, I don't know what it was before, but nowadays, you know, you got to be wide open all the time. You got to be careful with the gearbox, but you got to run hard all the time. There's so many talented guys out there.
Well, good luck, man. I talked to Peter Barron right before Patrick, and he said the car is in great shape. The only problem we've had is contact with the 01 during the night.
Well, speaking of contact, there was almost contact between the SunTrust Pontiac Riley and the Robinson Racing Machine. Catherine Legg is behind the wheel. Check this out. That's Ryan Dalziel. There's Catherine Legg. Angelelli on the inside. There was contact.
And Angelelli a little bit optimistic. Got into the side there of Catherine. Just wanted to get by so badly. There wasn't enough room there. There just wasn't enough. Well, it cost him some time.
So long as there's no damage on that front right, I don't think there'll be, that front left I should say rather, which is not obvious. And it was just a slight nudge, but it was enough to turn Legg around. And Angelelli lost time on Dalziel.
Doesn't take much, and luckily, though damage has been done, he can continue his charge, but now he's lost 3 or 4 seconds at least. Makes it all the harder when they make that pit stop.
Inside the cockpit of the 01, Juan Pablo Montoya, focused like you've never seen. And what a massive turnaround for this guy from the lofty heights of Formula One, where he is just pressured all the time from not only the team but the press and the fans, to come here, and he's been very relaxed this weekend. He's been wandering around, he's got a bunch of mates here, and he's been having a very good time, but then he gets thrust right back into the major spotlight when Speed Weeks begins, and he is under examination as a NASCAR Nextel Cup rookie.
He will have quite the experience when he runs this Daytona 500, assuming he gets in. It'll be something that he's never done before, just like this race.
I think it got to a stage too where he's one of those guys that simply loves to race, and he wasn't enjoying his racing anymore at Formula One level.
I mean, such a transition he's going to make when he comes into this first Daytona 500 and gets to experience what it's like to be out there with those 43 guys and those big cars pushing all over the place. And all the things that go with this great American race. I mean, the amount of people that are here this weekend, this is the biggest 24-hour fans I've ever seen. And I've been coming here over 30 years, but it's dwarfed by what happens during the Daytona 500 weekend. I think he will be truly, truly in awe when that spectacle comes here in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, these last pit stops, Lee, are going to be the make it or break it. And unfortunately for the 10, they've got the hardest job to do.
If you're a NASCAR Nextel Cup fan and you're tuning in to see one of your favorite drivers, it's certainly looking good for Jeff Gordon. His team car is currently placed in third. For Jimmy Johnson, well, the 91 experienced some problems with Mark Goossens at the wheel. That car is currently classified in 12th position. For Tony Stewart, the 20 car has retired. It is parked at the moment, and for Butch Leitzinger, Andy Wallace, Max Crawford and the gang, it's been a very frustrating 2007 Rolex 24.
Well, you can say that again. They normally are in pretty cheerful spirits, but I have not seen any smiles in that camp throughout this entire week.
More promising news, though, for 2000 NASCAR Nextel Cup champion Bobby Labonte. He is sharing the ride in the Finlay car with Michael Valiante, who is placed 7th at the moment. What about former F1 driver, former Champ Car star Roberto Moreno? He's 4th in the 59 Brumos Porsche, the Riley chassis car. And this team will be delighted. JC France, Hurley Hayward, Roberto Moreno, They've done a nice job in this car throughout the weekend. And João Barbosa, the Portuguese driver, I'll be thrilled to be in the top 5. I'll be disappointed if they can't break onto the podium, but we've still got 2 hours, 5 minutes left. The 7, Roger Yasukawa, who we know from the IndyCar Series. Thomas Enger, who has just been unbelievable in all kinds of weather and all kinds of condition. This car started 28th on the grid, and Enger just grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and took it up into the top 10 and has not looked back. And Chris Fester has done a wonderful job as well. This car is an interesting one. The AIM Autosport Lexus Riley. Bert Frizzell sharing the ride with his brother Brian, young Mark Wilkins from Canada, and David Empringham, who won the first ever Daytona prototype race here back in 2003 with Scott Maxwell and David Brabham. They won that race in a Ford Multimatic, and they run in the 6th position at the moment. Looking forward to seeing them race throughout the entire Rolex Sports Car Series. That car actually, it's got one of the more unique sponsorship deals. It's actually sponsored by Exchange Traded Gold and Barrick Gold Corporation. And it's quite a story where the Exchange Traded Gold, backed by allocated gold held in a vault, offer investors an innovative, cost-effective and secure way to invest in gold that's easier for individual investors rather than the gold commodity market.
Got a lot of gold in your vault, don't you?
I wish.
Me too.
One of the regular competitors at the Rolex 24 is, of course, Team Seattle. We have a soft spot for those guys for the wonderful work they do for charity. And one of the main players in that organization is Don Kitch Jr. He's with Chris.
It's been 11 years now that Team Seattle has been coming to the Rolex race to raise money for the Seattle Children's Hospital. Don, just about every year we talk to you about the good work that you do, but please reset the story again. Tell all our new viewers this year what exactly Team Seattle does.
Well, you know, before we talk about what we do, we need to thank some people. First of all of our teammates. Grand American Road Racing, Daytona Speedway, our wonderful support from the Speed Channel, all of our corporate and private individuals who support us out of Seattle, and our wonderful Team Synergy group that run our cars for us. Pledges per lap completed. Nickels, dimes, quarters, dollars, all out of the Seattle area. Every lap completed, $460,600 brought in so far. We're lapping at $658 a lap. 700 laps completed. That puts us at $460,600. And you know, it's all good news for us. Our 82 cars had a long, hard 24 hours. It got stuffed hard and destroyed at about 3 a.m. this morning. But our 83 cars out there circulating, making laps, we're going to leave your happy campers with $465,000, and every dime of that goes to our children's hospital. We couldn't have done it without Speed. You guys have been so supportive for us. And quite frankly, for all the other people in this nation, this research that we're doing at our Seattle Children's Hospital is syndicated across the nation to all children's hospitals. So we're helping all the kids, and we couldn't have done it without Speed, Grand Am, Daytona, and our wonderful partners at Synergy Racing, all of our supporters in Seattle. Thank you so much.
Don, over the years, how much money have you brought in?
$2.2 million so far. 2.2, well, almost 2.3 now. And you know what? We've won this race twice, so, you know, we got nothing to complain about. It's all good.
Isn't that the truth? We always talk about how important it is to win this race, to walk out of Daytona with that Rolex watch. But with these guys walk out of here every year, I think is so much more important.
As we were hearing from Chris and Don there, you may have noticed that Steve Johnson got a helping hand in the bus stop. He's added another driver to his list of to go and just have a gentle discussion with at the end of this race. They're picking on the wrong guy. Time to squeeze in another quick break. We'll be back with more from the Rolex 24 as this race builds towards a gripping conclusion.
Montoya just put in.
Reminding you, the Dual 150s are live on Speed, February 15, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's the most exhilarating qualifying event in NASCAR, and it's right here on Speed. The Dual 150s, where the drivers have one last shot to race their way into the Daytona 500. That's February 15, live right here on Speed. Sun shining, weather's great, race is unbelievable. Montoya, Dalziel, Angelelli, 1, 2 and 3, all on the lead lap. Roberto Moreno 2 laps further back. Take that back 4 laps further back. So it's a fair fight, level playing field, 1, 2 and 3, and we've got a similar scenario in the GT class. But let's highlight some of the more well-known drivers from the NASCAR Nextel Cup. 2 in, 2 out. Tony Stewart is gone. That car is retired. And the 91 Lowe's car for Jimmy Johnson not long ago blew up. Jeff Gordon stands a very good chance at winning this race, if not standing on the podium. And Bobby Labonte still very much in play in the top 10. So mixed fortunes. 2 still in great positions, and 2 guys who have stood on the podium are gone. For our open wheel guys, both Champ Car and IRL, well, it's done for Jimmy Vasser. The car's still circulating, but well down the order. They lost an hour right at the beginning of the race due to a collision. Montoya, we know who's leading, and it's been a frustrating day for Paul Tracy and the Mike Shank Racing organisation. Plenty of IRL IndyCar stars. A 58, Scott Sharp, boy, those guys will be just devastated because they should have and could have won this race, if not been on the podium. And for Dixon, the 02 Ganassi car had all slipped away when Mimo Rojas slid off the track. He and Dan Weldon in the same boat. And Sam Hornish Jr., the 6 is still running. They're in 23rd. And rather, this is the 60 car, I should say. Running in 14th position, Mark Patterson behind the wheel. Chris, what do you have?
Lee, I'm down here at Mission Control for Brumos with Bob Snodgrass, definitely the captain of the Rolex Series. Bob, right now, Roberto Moreno, 4th place, couple laps back, but we're still looking for a podium finish for the Brumos car.
Well, we sure are. You know, last year we were running 3rd. With 15 minutes to go, we were knocked off the track. We ended up 4th. Actually, we'd be really happy with a 3rd place here. A podium would be great. It's been a long time since we've been in there, and I frankly would like to taste the champagne.
Bob, you've won this race 6 times as a sponsor, 3 times as a car owner. You've been to so many of these. Have you ever seen a finish like we're having here these last couple hours? These top 3 cars, you can really throw a blanket over them on the racetrack.
No, this is a true testimony to the fact that we're in a series that is a really competition, not exhibition.
Well, this team was definitely one of the first teams to commit to this new formula of Daytona prototypes. They've been here all along, and they want to get back in this game. They're doing it with this Riley chassis.
All right, the 47 car just came in for a quick fuel, tires, and driver change. Their exhaust system is the whole left side exhaust system fell off, and the right side is basically unpeeled itself. Now, these guys have had a lot of problems with oil leaking out the back at the start of the race, and they've worked through their problems to get back up in the top 10. But a lot of these cars now, they're just getting worn out. They don't want to restart. So you can see the guys pushing the car all the way down pit lane. There, it fires up, and off they go.
It's a Porsche-powered Riley. Timo Bernard is one of the star drivers in that lineup with the Morgans and BJ Zacharias. They're in the top 10 in 9th position at the moment and pushing as hard as they can to try and hang in there. We're less than 2 hours from the finish of this great race.
How about those mechanics after 22 hours pushing that 2,300-pound car all the way down the pit lane to get it running again? Believe me, those boys are tired.
Well, the Rolex Sports Car Series, presented by Crown Royal Special Reserve, continues to grow in health and wealth to a certain extent, because the series is proud to boast more than $2.5 million posted in contingency, sponsorships and awards for the 2007 season for both the Daytona prototype class and the GT class. So there's a lot to play for in 2007. Chris.
Well, the 59 Brumos machine is in. Roberto Moreno getting out from behind the wheel. Did a great stint this morning. Joao Barbosa getting in the car. It looks like he's going to finish out here. Yeah, but Joao won this race just a couple years ago in GT1. The team's saying that the car's in good shape. We're just down a couple laps, and we're hoping to try and make something back here. They're thinking that there could definitely be a good battle on our hands between the top 3 cars, so maybe someone's going to get pushed off the racetrack. That might help us out and get us on the podium. But right now, Joao Barbosa looking to get in this battle.
Joao knows what it's like to grab one of those fabulous Rolex wristwatches. He and Andy Wallace shared the duties in that Mosler. The second Samax car is in, and the countdown continues on the official Rolex timing clock. We're looking towards the check-in. Since the inception of the Daytona prototype formula, there has never been a repeat winner in the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Are we about to have a new combination again? It may very well be the same team in Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates, but a whole new driver lineup. The man of the moment is Montoya. Juan Pablo has done an outstanding job in his first appearance in a Daytona prototype. He won the Indy 500 on debut. Can he do the same at the Rolex 24?
Look how relaxed he is in there. He's focused on the job at hand. Time running out. They're not catching him.
Class-leading car in GT for Farnbacher Lowe's, Dirk Werner, who is a young standout talent, but there
they've been called in too. They were made to come in by Grand Am because of that smoking that you saw quite a long time back, and you can see something under the hood.
Well, this plays right into the hands for the 22 Allegra Motorsports Fiorano Racing Porsche. Mark Basseng is still behind the wheel and now closing the gap.
That doesn't look good. That doesn't look like the type of smoke when you've got oil on a hot exhaust system or something. It looks like nasty stuff.
It's Kevin Roush in the 27 Porsche, a little further down the order in the GT class, but the pressure is on the Farnbacher Lowe's organisation.
Dumping water on something. Oh, just kind of blew up at him, didn't it?
And this is the car who could take the lead, that could take the lead in the class. Mark Basseng, Jean-Francois Dumoulin, and the rest of the boys from Allegra Fiorano. Exciting times as the 22 takes to the banking. And it's pit time. Carlos de Quesada and Scooter Gable will be very excited. The 85 is released. So they're now on the same lap and they're within touch once they complete this pit stop. So it's on in GT just like it is for the overall honours in the Daytona prototype class.
Yeah, but what was wrong with the 85, and did they fix it or did they just wash it off?
And 1 3/4 hours remaining. They are not out of jail yet by a long shot. We're expecting the 11 in for Samax, the Sitco Pontiac Riley, and Ryan Dalziel should feel very proud. He has done a sterling job in that car. We're expecting the 11 in any lap now. We expect this car, the 01, to keep on trucking for several more laps. They're getting excellent fuel mileage in that Lexus Riley with Montoya behind the wheel, just on the outside of the AIM Autosport Doncaster Racing Porsche. Dave Lacey behind the wheel, a veteran of Grand Am Rolex Series racing, came up out of the what's now the Coney Challenge Series. The Doncaster team have been a force to contend with in Porsches for many, many years. Here's Dalziel. We'll keep a watchful eye. There's Patrick Carpentier. Hey, Mike, you're still standing by?
Yeah, Lee, I'm down here waiting.
I saw you chatting with Patrick earlier during the commercial break. How is he? Is he relaxed, looking forward to it?
Oh, no, he's pumped up. He's ready to go. He says this is what he's been waiting for, you know, his entire career. And it's opportunities like this that just don't come up very often. So when they do, you know, you just want to get in there and drive as hard as you possibly can. So he's definitely excited. And this team is very excited, too. You know, they're just all anxious. They're just, like, ready to just pounce over this wall as soon as this car comes in. I think some of them might even fall off the wall before the car gets here.
He missed the championship when he was a champ car driver, but he most certainly was a race winner. And in 2002 was one of his best years. Really took the fight to Cristiano de Mata. And now the 11 is in. The young Scotsman, his job is done for this weekend. The pressure now falls on the shoulders of the French-Canadian Patrick Carpentier, who made his name for Players Forsyth Racing in the Champ Car World Series, a former Atlantic driver as well. And now it's time for Patrick to climb aboard.
Well, as you can see, Ryan did a perfect job hitting his marks. The crew's getting to the tires. Now what they do, they got a guy helping on the driver change to make sure that driver change is as quick as possible. The front tire guy goes around the front. Now he's going to change the other front tire. They're adding a little bit of oil to the top of the car, you can see. And now the whole idea is just waiting for the fuel. We're going to see this car at least one more time before the end of the race because they can do about an hour on a tank of fuel. Fuel goes down, and off it goes. Just a absolutely perfect stop by the 11 team, and he's going to line down the pit lane. Just got to watch out, pit speed 45 miles an hour.
Good job, Patrick Carpentier. Made absolutely sure he was not going to stall the Sitco Pontiac Riley. Now he can settle in, and the next thing he wants to see is a clear track ahead and the checkered flag. 1 hour, 43 minutes away.
And what a double stint Ryan Dalziel put in. I mean, that really speaks well for him, doesn't it? Fantastic job.
So now we wait and watch for when Montoya will pit and when Angelelli will pit. Mike?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I'm going to talk to the team real quick. The fuel on that stop seemed to go a whole lot faster than it did on the last time we were there. So I'm just trying to get a quick, the team looks a little concerned. I'm just going to ask them real quick, and I'll get back. Hey, Jeff Carter, that stop seemed to go a lot quicker than the last one. Did you guys get a full load of fuel in there?
Yeah, we just did fuel to tires, basically. What we did is we waited till the driver change was done and the tires, and then we're done. So.
All right, well, the crew's definitely very confident they got a full load of fuel. We'll see them one more time before the end of the race.
And I'm sure Ryan Dalziel is taking a much-earned rest and drink as things settle down somewhat. And we wait for the 01 and the 10. When will they pit? And does the SunTrust Pontiac Riley get away cleanly? Those problems they've been experiencing. Joao Barbosa maintains fourth. Roger Yasukawa for Samax in the top 5.